Hi, so winter is almost upon us. Yes, CAT 2022 is just round the corner. Keeping this in mind, we know each and every one of you is really excited but is also looking for the last final push and the fillip that is going to add those extra 5, 10, 15 percentile to your final CAT score. Well, because of this, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you the last lap to CAT 2022 starting on the 17th of October all the way till the 20th of November. Yes, 4.5 intensive, in fact almost 5 intensive weeks of preparation. What more, the focus is predominantly going to be CAT, which means, as we know, time, speed, distance and time and work in totality have almost equal weightage or sometimes even more weightage than geometry. So can we go ahead and leave geometry and just focus on these two? Can we go ahead and leave entire theta para jumbles and still score a 99.99 percentile in verbal? Yes, we can. This and much more in terms of preparation, in terms of intensive questions that we're going to look at and the smartest way of going ahead and solving that. So catch us on the BYJU'S Exam Prep app, and in case you missed that, on YouTube. But go ahead, download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app and also get a 99 percentilers kit which is going to help you ace CAT 2022. See you soon.
A very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to the last lap to CAT. We are going to talk about odd sentence out parajumbles today. How to spot that odd sentence out quickly and accurately. That is our agenda for today. I welcome you to the session again. Hi Varun. Good to see you too. Hello Pragya. Hi Education World. Good evening Dhyanesh. All right. So, all excited for attempting the questions? Yes, we are going to attempt 10 questions today. And through these, I'm going to talk to you about what all tips you can use to actually solve them more quickly. Right? Good evening, Priyanshi. Welcome to the session. Hello, Priyanka. Hi, Krishna. Hi, Nikita. All right, then. Let's have a look at what we are going to do. So as I've told you, we are also going to brush up the basics. It's not going to be just tips to solve them more quickly. We are also going to revise what all you've learned about solving odd sentence parajumbles, right? And of course, tips and tricks, those will be coming your way. So let's begin. First of all, verbal ability carries 8 questions, and those 8 questions carry 24 marks in CAT. So let's analyze it a little before we begin. Okay, so biology, linguistics, and science and tech. These have been relatively important genres in the past few years, in the last 5 years to be precise. Why? Because quite a few questions. See, I know that 35 appears to be a small number, but if you see how many genres out there exist, right? So then this becomes significant. Even this number becomes significant. So biology, linguistics, science and tech, make sure that you read articles on these genres so that they don't appear alien to you in the exam. Also, if I talk about the sources, then the sources have been excerpts of non-fiction. Okay, they have been magazines like Eon, The Economist. So online articles from e-magazines and non-fiction excerpts. These have been your sources for various odd sentence parajumbles. Okay, so that means you have to be a good reader. You have to be an effective reader and an eclectic reader to crack these questions. However, there are tips and tricks that can help you to navigate even those parajumbles that you feel are not your cup of tea, in the sense that they belong to genres that you may not be familiar with earlier. Right? We'll look at that also. A very good evening to those who are just joining. Sachin, Gibson, Regain, Shweta, Nisha. Good evening. Good evening. Hi Shrikant, good evening. Smithsonian, yes, Smithsonian is also a great source. Good. Okay. So, this is about the analysis of verbal ability, okay, and what all genres, what all sources can help. Okay. All right. So, if I talk about CAT 2021, then what was the level of difficulty of parajumbles? See, Slot 1 had one easy and one difficult parajumble. Not mincing any words here, one was difficult, genuinely. Two people were lucky, they had both the odd sentence out parajumbles as easy. And in 3 again, it was similar to slot 1. Okay, so that means that even if odd sentence parajumble is not your strength, then also you can take your pick, right? You can just pick the easy ones. Okay, you just have to identify the easy odd sentence of parajumbles in case they're not your strength, right? Okay, one word substitution, okay. All right. So Varun, see, we may not be able to practice all the question types for all the exams under the sun because sometimes exams make new question types also. So this is a general thing that I'm telling you, particularly with reference to, let's say, IIFT ZAT. They are known for their innovative question types. So what we can do is we can practice to face, such questions also. We can make ourselves so good that we are able to face such questions easily, right? We don't panic when we face such questions. Okay. Okay, so let's see if you are prepared. I think the easiest check for odd sentence out parajumbles is, do you still make one whole sequence? That means you are at a beginner's level. Beginners do that. And I think even beginners should not do that because you need not make an entire sequence. You just have to spot the odd sentence and then just type the number of that odd sentence. Secondly, do you still take 2 to 3 minutes to solve these questions? So you shouldn't, okay? You get a little over a minute in CAT to solve these questions. So 2 to 3 minutes is more than double that time, yes, if you are here. So if this is the case, then you need to practice a lot of questions under a time constraint to become better at these. Okay. All right then. So how should we solve the questions? Yes, the $1,000,000 question. Right. The 6 mark question actually. So first and foremost, all the rules that you apply to parajumbles, as in making mandatory pairs, they'll work here also. Because ultimately here also, on the basis of organizing sentences, you are picking out one that doesn't fit with the others. Yes? So all the grammar-based clues that you've learned, they'll help you. The full name, part name, right? So Michael Schumacher. So they help. I'm not saying that it's essential, that it's necessary that first I'll write the full name of a person, then only in the next sentence I can use the surname of that person. It's not an essential thing. It's not a hard and fast rule as such. This is just a guideline. When most people write in formal context, they usually introduce a person first by giving his or her full name and then go for, let's say, just the surname or just the first name, right? The noun pronoun relationship, again, whenever you have these personal pronouns, he, him, his, her, right? All these personal pronouns, they refer to a person. So quite possible that the name of that person comes first and then come these pronouns. Again, possible but not essential. These are just guidelines. Okay, this is how we have observed people writing in formal context, particularly when they follow a deductive approach, general to specific approach, right? Uh, yes, deductive approach. Then, noun plus the indicates familiarity. What does noun plus the indicate? Whenever we have the before a noun, it usually indicates familiarity. So if I say the boy was playing, probably I have introduced this boy earlier in some other sentence, and that was the first time I mentioned the boy. That was when I used a with the boy. A boy was I spotted a boy in the park. The boy was playing football, right? So, first time, introducing something for the first time, the indicates familiarity. Okay, demonstrative pronouns. This is wrong. What is wrong? I've probably talked about something earlier and then I said this is wrong. Okay, these strategies do not always work. Which strategies? The strategies that I may have mentioned earlier, right? So this, that, these, those, these are what? Demonstrative pronouns. And again, you should form a relationship here that, what does this refer to? Has the discussion for this happened earlier, right? That's what you have to check. So you already know these things, these noun pronoun relationships, okay, this article familiarity, introduction, these things. I'm just revising it for you. Correlative conjunctions. So if I say this is she is not well, but at the same time we cannot say that she is unwell. let's say there is one sentence. So this not but relationship figures here, that although you can't call her well, but she is not unwell either. Okay, so these correlative conjunctions, either or, neither nor, they can sometimes help you when they figure in two different sentences like not and but. Okay, linking words, a big help. You should always be alert towards these linking words that we also call connectors, right? So but, however, these are your contradiction wala connectors. Yes, then you have continuation connectors, moreover, in addition, further, furthermore, right? In fact, they help you a lot. You should actually pay attention to these connectors when you are reading. They help you a lot with your RC passages also, right? They help you to understand, is the author now contradicting himself earlier? Okay, so there is this probably is a compare contrast passage. Is the author drawing a contrast? Are there contradictions here? Is it is it such a passage where we first introduce something and then we elaborate something? So they help you in passages also, and in writing also, in your WATs, your essay writing, again they'll come in very handy. How, we'll discuss when we come to stage 2. So pay attention to these grammar based clues, and they are going to help you tremendously because they're very reliable that way. Yes, if there is a this, if it's written these strategies, then probably I have talked about the strategies earlier. Yes. So let's have a look at our first question. Okay, so I'm going to follow this approach of concepts, and I've mixed concepts and questions today instead of first, my giving a whole lecture and then our attempting the questions, right? So let's look at the first question and attempt it. Okay, let me see how you attempt it, how much time you take, and then we'll discuss the fastest way to attempt it. Yes, please start and tell me. Acha, I may be coming in front of the text, so I'm going to hide myself. Okay, yeah. Mint is a good source, Varun. Okay, I've got my first response already. But you have to find the odd sentence out, Pragya. 4 of these will make a coherent paragraph. One is an odd sentence out. Varun, you don't have to make a sequence. You have to spot the odd sentence out. Which one does not belong? Which one does not match in its theme, scope, etc. with the rest of the sentences? Okay. Others, I want more responses. Although quite a few of you have answered within a minute. Those of you who've answered till now, we began at 7:12, it's 7:13 now. So you've answered in a minute. But I want more responses. Come on. 3, 2, all right. What else? So I've got 2, 3, and 4 with a majority saying 4. The next popular choice is 2. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Let's have a look at what the answer should be. Okay. See this. Here, we are talking about capital punishment. That's the broad topic. Yes. So what is capital punishment? Hanging a murderer, right? Would be giving him or her capital punishment. We're talking about opponents, supporters. This much I can gauge from a quick scan, right? Arguments. So arguments, that's why supporters, opponents. But if you see, it's not like just a vertical scan will do. This is just to see, okay, are there any pronoun relationships that can help me, right? This is just to gauge that. You have to read the sentences, right? No substitute to that, no shortcuts here in CAT. So, if you observe carefully, option two, I mean, the sentence two says the arguments in favor of the death penalty of this hoary old war horse of debating competitions are too well known to need rehearsing in detail. Okay, so we probably are focused on the arguments in favor. Probably. But some of you say that two is the odd sentence out. But tell me, if two is the odd sentence out, then you are saying supporters of capital punishment. Then this statement is also about the supporters. Even this statement is also about the supporters. Suddenly we start talking about the opponents. So isn't two a good starting point? That we begin by talking about the arguments in favor and then we elaborate that okay, this is what the supporters say. All right. So the arguments in favor of the death penalty, one is the odd sentence out here, right? The arguments in favor of the death penalty of the sorry old war horse of debating competitions are too well known to need rehearsing in detail. Supporters point out that keeping murderers jailed is expensive and that the funds could be better used for the benefit of other members of our society, right? Also, they remind us that prisoners can escape and that even if they don't, they can continue to harm, especially to fellow prisoners. They argue. So, who see the supporters only will remind you of this. No, that please hang them. Otherwise, if they escape, they are going to harm they are going to harm others. Even if they don't escape, they are going to harm fellow prisoners. So, please hang them. ये supporters का statement है, isn't it? Then similarly, they argue that there is a moral difference between a murder and a legal execution. So a legal execution is not a murder. There is a difference. The death penalty deters potential murderers, right? So we are actually stopping potential murders, right? So this is also something that the supporters would say. So three statements, if they talk about supporters, it is likely that this one belongs and this one does not belong. The one about the opponents. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Good education world. You gave one as the answer. Uh, yes, so here what could have helped us is understanding the sentences first of all, because who will remind us that prisoners can escape? Supporters. Who will argue this? Supporters. So when you understand these arguments well, you realize that okay, both are related to supporters. This is also talking about supporters, and even this is about the arguments in favor. That's how you had to club it and spot your odd sentence out. Okay, I hope it makes sense to everyone. All right then. Another thing, apart from grammar-based clues that can help you, as we just saw, is theme and range. What does my paragraph talk about? So the theme was arguments about capital punishment, but the range was about the arguments in favor, right? Arguments on capital punishment, but the range was about arguments in favor. So theme and range, they matter a lot. Okay, so what kind of sentences are your odd sentences? Those that are out of context or go against the theme and range. Go against the theme, let's say. Right. So here this one didn't go against the theme as such. Thematically, one was related. It went against the range. It went against the scope of discussion. The scope was about favor, arguments in favor. Statements presenting new ideas. This is actually an easy job then. If you have a statement that presents a new idea altogether, which does not match with the other four ideas, then that's a very easy odd sentence out parajumble. Easy question. So if you observe, just open your CAT 2021 papers, slot 1 to 3. The easy questions that I'm talking about usually will be of this kind, which talk about some new ideas altogether, right? Statements that are dispensable, that you can do without. They are not indispensable. Remember, only that remains which is absolutely essential. Anything that I can eliminate is the odd sentence out, right? So one way to attempt these questions is that you make one or two mandatory pairs. Sometimes making just one mandatory pair suffices. Don't be bent on making an entire sequence. That's just a wastage of time, except when the question is exceptionally difficult, right? So otherwise, making a whole sequence can be a waste of time. Just make a couple of mandatory pairs, sometimes even one mandatory pair suffices, and you will realize what is dispensable, what is indispensable. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, Varun, morally, okay. Opponents actually said that, a murder, that capital punishment is not indistinguishable from murder. Sorry, capital punishment is indistinguishable from murder. That's what the opponents were saying. That means they were saying if you are hanging a person, you are committing murder only. You can't say that, okay, no, this is not murder. It is indistinguishable from murder. Morally, you are also committing the same crime as the murderer. That's what this statement means. Okay. All right, then let's have a look at another question. I hope you'll retain what I've just told you. Out of context, presenting new ideas, and statements that are indispensable are the odd sentences. So let's attempt the second question. Let's see what you say. Acha, I'll hide myself again. Sorry. Let's see. So Varun says two. Let's see what the others say. Pragya also says two. Pradeep says three. Ishita two. Kunal two. Okay, again, Pragya two. Deity is a god. Like in Hinduism, we have a lot of deities, right? Indradev, uh, Shivji, etc., etc. They're all deities. So a lot of twos I've got so far, some threes, and one four I've got. Others, it's been a minute now. No, 1 minute is over. Yes. So I guess two because it is out of context. Good. You are right. So let's have a look. Two is the answer here, but why is two the odd sentence out? This was not a very tricky question, so I'm happy that quite a few of you have identified that this is the answer. And see here, this person is talking about his or her childhood, right? And the providing details of the festivals, how they used to, how it used to be a collective action. So in my Kolkata neighborhood, this seems like the opening sentence here. There was one kind of collective action that was unusually successful. This related to religious festivals. Okay, so now we say, then we bring this fact that, okay, they had religious and cultural dimensions also, and politics was not far behind. So there used to be collective mobilization, there used to be youthful energy there. The whole community participated. So, all of this relates to the author's memory of how festivals were celebrated in his or her neighborhood, right? And then the author gives an evidence of the fact that how politics was not far behind. So, four relates directly to one. Now, this is not really the main point of this paragraph, the X party versus Y party, okay, or which party celebrated, which party did not. It's about his memory of how festivals were celebrated. So, that is why two is the odd sentence out. This is pretty out of context here. Okay, so that's why two is the odd sentence out. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, good. In the previous question, aren't one and five related? Uh, Okay, okay. I understand what you're saying, Pradeep. Morally distinguishable versus morally indistinguishable. So, what Pradeep is saying is that in the previous question, isn't morally distinguishable and morally indistinguishable? Aren't they related? Just a second, let me clarify this also. So, I agree with you that here they say there is a moral difference, whereas here they say that it is morally indistinguishable. So it looks like they are related. Okay. But had we just talked about the arguments about death penalty, no, I would have accepted what you are saying, and then one would not be the odd one out. Right? However, this discussion is about arguments in favor only. This is here, if you notice, this is the opening sentence actually. Okay, so that's why we have to stick to what the supporters say and not really worry about what the opponents say. Okay, and good observation there, and it's a point of confusion also for students. But we have to see what is the range of the discussion arguments in favor. All right. So I hope this is clear again. Two is the odd one out. Okay, let's have a look at the third one. And again, I'm going to hide somewhere. Yes, I'll come back in a while. Okay, I've got some responses. All right. Others. Let's see. Okay. So very happy to see two correct answers. So here Pradeep and Pragya. Okay, Pragya also says four, right? Then Music Core and Dhyanesh, they also say four. This is the answer. Four is the answer here. Why one? Those who are saying one, why? What made you say why one? So we are talking about common characteristics, right? Uh, Now add to this list. Which list? The list of commonalities, long list of common characteristics. So 2 and 5, not the odd sentences out. Both possess something, again, a commonality, right? Other commonalities. So aren't all these sentences 1, 2, 3, 5 talking about commonalities? Whereas here we suddenly start talking about a sharp contrast. Yes? So this again goes against the range. Just like that opponent's question goes against the scope of discussion. The scope of discussion, the range of discussion is about the commonalities that the countries possess. So, yeah, maybe you mark this because this one talked about culturally rich civilizational legacy and cuisine. But then when we talk about right wing populism, that means we have come to a political discussion. So, corruption relates to it, legal discussion relates to it, bureaucracy relates to it. So, 1 and 5 are strongly related. I don't think that you should have marked one as the odd sentence out, thinking that okay, ये थोड़ा out of context लग रहा है. ये है, within context है ये. Okay. So our answer is 4, and this was because of range, scope. I hope you understood this. Okay, let's go to our next question then. Okay, after this we'll discuss some concepts also. Question 4. Let's see what do you say. Acha, I hope I am not. Okay, music core says 2. Varun also says 2. Hmm. Okay, 2. What else? 3. All right. So I've got 2, 3, and one student says 5. Okay. All right, then let me just become visible. मैं प्रकट हो जाती हूँ, and then let's discuss this. So question number 4. See this. Here, this one does require some thought, because there is a point where you might start feeling European rule. How come has European rule come in between? Yes. So still, if you see, we are talking about accounting rules, right? Also, we are talking about some problem here. The key problem with overseas investment is that it is hard for investors in London and New York to see what a foreign government or an overseas manager is up to when they are an ocean or more away. So that is the problem, right? Moreover, what adds to this problem is the fact that non-Western countries had until quite recently highly unreliable legal systems and differing accounting rules. So that will add to the problem, right? So 5 2 becomes a mandatory pair, and I eliminate both from the equation. Okay, then I read the other sentences. If a foreign trading partner decided to default on its debts, there was little that an investor situated on the other side of the world could do. Again, elaborating on the problem that you are sitting an ocean or more away. What will you be able to do if your foreign trading partner decides to default, decides to not pay their debts related to the problem? Now between 1 and 3. So this is how you eliminate. See, I'm not really worried about what the sequence is here. Okay, it could be 4 5 2 4, 5 4 2, whatever, right? I am just worried about the fact that okay, I have to ultimately find the odd sentence out. So tell me which one is more unrelated here. In the fast era of globalization, the solution to this problem was brutally simple but effective. In the first era of globalization, it was brutally simple but effective to impose European rule. Okay, in all the non-Western countries, you just impose the European rule, right? So that actually helped these people because they knew at least the Western rules. Okay, and these Western rules were perhaps not very unreliable. Okay, 3 is completely unrelated. It talks about one investor. Back in London, an investor had myriad foreign investment opportunities open to him. Talks about a very specific case when we are talking on a global level, right? So does not match the range of my discussion, and it's pretty out of context. Okay, because the context is rules. This is not talking about rules, it's talking about investment opportunities. Okay, so 3 is the odd sentence out, and I hope it makes sense to everyone. Any questions you can ask? 5 is in the present tense and 2 is in the past tense. Let's have a look at this. Had until quite recently. Okay. So yes, because I mean, the focus of discussion is the present situation only. You are saying that, okay, until recently, they did not even have very reliable systems, right? So it's okay to refer to the past when you are relating it to the present. It's not that we cannot ever relate to the past, right? All right, then let's see if there is a question ahead or a concept ahead. I think there's a question. After question 4, one more question and then we'll discuss one more tip. Yes, tell me what the answer should be here. 1 minute. Let's see what you say. So 1 minute is almost up. Divya says 3. Varun, Yanesh, 3. Pragya, 3. Gaurav, I'll have to check this. There's a session that happened. I think college is accepting NMAT scores. You can watch that. There, I think this will be discussed. 3, 2, 3. Okay, so primarily 2 and 3. Okay, all right, let's discuss then. So, here we are talking about, see, all the other sentences here are talking about the focus on we rather than I, how it was beneficial for the society. Whereas, whereas, acha nahi nahi, हाँ ठीक है, I understand you're marking 3, right? I understand you're marking 3 because you must have thought that if this talks about emphasis on I, but tell me something, how is 2 related to the whole discussion? Yes, how is 2 related to the discussion? Who is this person? Putnam, I don't even know. This person is not even mentioned, has not been mentioned in any of the other sentences. So, see this. We are talking about the first half of the 20th century. Whenever we have such time reference, no, be careful. Whenever we have dates, names of centuries, AD, etc., etc. So, whenever we have a time reference, it's quite possible that we follow it up with another time reference. So, we are basically talking about that how in the first half of the 20th century, the focus was more on collective, let's say, cooperation. Whereas in the 1960s, it shifted to individualism. So collectivism in the first half, individualism in the second half. So if you see here, this the clearest benefit of educating Americans to a higher level was unparalleled economic growth and upward social mobility for the newly educated lower classes. This does not relate to our discussion at all. So, like you, I also narrowed down to 2 and 3. Then I saw that while this still talks about the VI issue, this does not talk about the VI issue. Another thing that I noticed was the time, the date that was mentioned. So that told me, okay, 2 is the odd sentence. Okay. And see, again, I have not made any sequence here. I have not relied on making a whole sequence. I have just seen which one matches thematically and scope wise. Okay. All right. So see, the questions that we are doing currently are also mixed bag, just like what you will witness in your CAT slots, right? So please don't go with any prejudices that this particular question type is difficult for me. It entirely depends on the questions that you get on that day. Okay. All right. Just a second, a minute. This says 3 is the odd sentence out. No. No, 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 no. Because are we talking about education anywhere else? Rising levels of social trust, community engagement, political problems. No, this is wrong. This is going to be the odd sentence out. 2 is the odd sentence out. This may have been marked by mistake. Okay? Hope I'm clear on this. Okay? 2 is the odd sentence out. Hope I'm clear on this. Nobody's confused. Okay, now a question that comes up is what about the opening or closing sentence? Should we be bothered about finding it, or should we start just by making mandatory pairs? What should be our approach when we begin? See, if the opening and closing sentences they are very clear cut, no, you'll find them very easily. You'll not have to make a lot of effort there. So, if they are pretty evident there, then that's great, right? You'll find them in no time. But if they're not very clear to you, don't unnecessarily waste time by first finding the opening sentence and then proceeding. This works equally well for your type in the answer parajumbles also. I give the same tip for type in the answer parajumbles also. Easily मिल जाए ठीक है, otherwise proceed to making mandatory pairs or noticing which one belongs to the theme, which one does not, which one belongs to the scope, which one does not. Right? Okay. All right, then let's have a look at another question. The sixth one. I think you'll be able to relate to this, many of you. Okay. Got one response. All right. Four of you. Okay, achha, I've got one response as four. All right. Other response. I need more responses. Come on. We are here to practice, right? Don't be lazy. Okay. So I come back and see this. We're talking about the Marvel universe here. Even if, let's say, you do not know this or you do not realize this while attempting the question, that's okay. Because we have some clues here that can help us. When I say that their films are precision engineered blockbusters, okay, engineered by precision, yes, so they are very precise in what they show, okay, and they very in a very focused manner they aim to make it a blockbuster, blending action and emotion, right? So they have the right blend of action, emotion, backstories. You'll never find something very random there, and it's in pretty much perfect proportion. So precision engineered blockbusters. And the first foray into television with WandaVision was a fantastically sophisticated success. So the author is appreciative of the Marvel films, right? So the MCU maker, this actually points out to the fact that first of all they know their cosmological business, okay, whatever they are showing in terms of story, right? Also, they know how to make a movie a hit. They know how to make a movie a hit. Okay, a fantastically sophisticated success. Even their foray into television, this is their business, right? Movies, televisions. So the MCU makers know their cosmological business. Usually they know other aspects of their business too. Usually, see, the moment I say usually, no, so first of all, I hope you've been able to relate four with five. The MCU makers know their cosmological business. That's why their stories are so perfect, and they aim that their movies, their series succeed. Usually, the moment we say usually with something, no, that means probably we are going to point out to an exception, right? And if you see, the first two episodes of Loki, however, felt flat. So usually they know every other aspect of their business too. Usually they know other aspects of their business too. The first two episodes of Loki, however, felt flat. Okay, so actually the odd one out here is one, although it does not seem like it because you feel 2-1 is a pair, right? Um, However, broadly you are appreciative of MCU makers. And then when you have to mention a contradiction, see, whenever we have to give a contrast within a paragraph, we have to use such connectors that actually indicate the onset of that contrast. So usually does that. However does that. However then makes the contrast. So usually, however, they tell us that, okay, this is actually related. So one is the odd sentence out. I'm happy that some of you were able to identify this. Okay, quite a few of you said 3 and 4. 3 and 4, 4 in fact, should not have been marked as the odd sentence out. 4 is a very strong opening sentence here. That's why, I placed this question after this discussion on opening closing sentence. So, thank you so much. So they know their cosmological business. They know what they're talking about in terms of story when they show us this whole universe. ठीक है? So ये तो नहीं mark करना चाहिए था 4 or 5. 3 I absolutely understand, but 3 and 2 are actually related. 1, still things do perk up by the very end of the second episode. This seems like a leap. This seems like a leap. Okay, we've just begun the discussion of how it felt flat. So probably the author will first describe it. देखो ऐसे फ्लैट था, ऐसे फ्लैट था, this is what made it flat. Then you say, okay, still things do perk up by the very end of the second episode. Okay, so after mentioning the negatives, then you'll probably come to this point. Make sense? One is the odd one out here, and Fourth was the opening sentence. Yes, Pratik. So this happens with some questions, and I'll address this in a coming slide. What to do when you feel that every sentence is connected, right? In such a case, let me share it here only. In such a case, focus on mandatory pairs. Okay, they become very crucial in such a case. So see, I made two here. One did not do the job. I had to make two. Then only I could eliminate. Then only I could come to the answer. So these are your relatively trickier questions where everything is connected. Everything looks connected at least. All right. Hi, Roshan. Good evening. I could imagine, school students just standing up and wishing their teacher. Right. The other thing that can help you is sometimes the tone of that one sentence that does not match with the rest of the sentences. So sometimes you can eliminate on the basis of tone. And, it's not like we can't change our tone ever. So here also there was a change in the tone. No, when we said, however, that felt flat, it was a change in the tone. From positive, I came to negative, but it was very clearly indicated by connectors. So we don't have a problem with a change in tone. We have a problem with an abrupt change in tone. वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Okay? So whenever it feels abrupt, the change in tone, that means that is the odd sentence out. Okay then. Question 7. Let's see. So Pradeep, whenever you feel this, know that that is the fifth sentence. That means that is the odd sentence. Okay, because you have to give priority to the first four sentences, right? So whenever you get this feeling also that this is the fifth sentence, it is your odd sentence. Right, let's do this. Seventh question. Anushka says 1, Pragya 1, Tanvi 3, Krishna 5, Sachin 3, Rakshit 1, Sagnik 1, all right, all right. 1, okay. Okay, so it's 1 versus 3 primarily. 1 versus 3. A couple of you say 3, but mostly I've got 1. This is an easy question. How does the author talk about these dandelions? Very warmly. पैराग्राफ पढ़ के ही बहुत प्यारी सी फीलिंग आती है, राइट? सी, मेकिंग द एंटायर रूम लुक सनी. It was as if the sun was wilting indoors. They made my entire room look so sunny. The flowers were so vibrant. Appreciative, appreciative, appreciative. Yes, and this is the introductory sentence. When I was a young boy of Midwestern suburbia, I plucked a bouquet of dandelions. So, and see, this is when I learned. When suddenly how did he learn this, that they should be plugged and thrown away, right? So that was when I learned. So probably something happens in between. Even if, let's say, this is true that later on he learned this, something has to happen in between for him to change his opinion. He's currently going all gaga over them. So something has to happen in between. So one is a leaf, right? And tone wise, this does not match. Abrupt change in tone, yes. So one is the odd sentence out. Okay. All right then. Question 8. Let's see. Acha, should I hide myself? I'm so sorry. You should tell me, no, that I'm coming in front of the text. Let's see. Education world says 5. Rohit says 2 or 5. Think about it, Rohit. Pradeep says 1. Okay. I've got 3 ones. All right. Should we discuss? I think you're becoming lazy now. I'm getting fewer responses. This should not happen. You should stay active for at least 10 questions. Okay. Again, this is a tone based question. Okay. Um, Also, it does not match thematically. It does not match thematically. We are talking about ancestor worship. How are the ancestors worshipped in the south? Uh, Through flowers, right? So 2 and 5 are anyway connected. This I could see. Also, the topic is ancestor worship. That is why we are talking about the graveyards and the graves, right? I often remind myself of this region's constitutional reverence for the dead. So again, for the dead, I talk about the dead here. So ancestor worship, graveyards, the dead, the discussion matches because it helps me come closer to understanding a heartbreaking truth. This heartbreaking truth hasn't been told to us in this paragraph. Probably it will come in a subsequent paragraph. So sometimes students do get confused here. They think, okay, this is not related, but this is related. However, this is completely unrelated. Many of my fellow white southerners are deeply, dangerously wrong about matters of history. We're not discussing matters of history here. We're discussing ancestor worship, reverence for the dead here. Okay, so one, tone wise also it suddenly says that they're dangerously deeply wrong. Okay, and theme range wise also it does not fit. So should have been, I mean, you should have attempted this one quite easily. Okay. Oh, don't be sad. Getting questions wrong is a part and parcel of life. We have to minimize our inaccuracies. That should be the focus. Okay. Last tip. See, elimination. Sometimes you might feel that although there is one sentence that is the most out of line, even the other sentences don't make a very clear cut paragraph, but that's okay. It's not your job to analyze the question in the exam. Let them not make adjacent sentences. We don't have to worry about it. Just find the one that is the most out of line. Just focus on that. Okay, and how will you find that out? Sometimes making mandatory pairs will help you tremendously. Yes, eliminate any mandatory pairs that you spot there. Although you might feel, how will I spot mandatory pairs when they don't even look adjacent? But at least some of them may, right? At least two of them may. So any mandatory pairs that you spot, use them, eliminate them. Okay, and that's how you land at the correct answer in such questions. Such questions have appeared in CAT. Okay, you can see the previous year papers. And sometimes what happens? All sentences appear equally related. So for this, I've already advised you, make mandatory pairs. Whatever is left out, in that case, whatever is left out. Again, I'm not asking you to make a sequence, just mandatory pairs. Whatever is left, whatever is dispensable, that is your odd sentence. Okay, I hope this tip is crystal clear to everyone. This is important. Parajumble session tomorrow. We have parajumble session this month, don't worry. Okay, so 12 p.m. Vikrant sir or I, we meet you on our YouTube channel, right? So 12 p.m. every day we do have relevant CAT sessions for you. Okay, don't worry. All right then. Question 9. So let's see who answers this the fastest. Just two questions left now. The fastest and the most accurately, right? So I'll also tell you which two options were close here, which two sentences were close here. Yes, attempt. 5 I've got. All right. So Pratik says 5. Okay. Others. I'm watching you. Lokesh says 2. Nikita says 5. Anjali says 4. Raj says 2. Pragya says 1. Oh my god. 1, 2, 4, 5. All right. But I've got quite a few twos. Okay. Okay. 3. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 5. Quite a few twos. This is a question that requires some thought, right? So let's have a look as to how to attempt it. Okay. Now, if I look at the mandatory pairs, here there's a very clear-cut mandatory pair in 4 and 5. We all know by now that Zoom causes fatigue, social media spreads misinformation, and Google Maps is wiping out our sense of direction. We also know, of course, that Zoom allows us to cooperate. So we all know, then we also know, of course. So negative, positive, right? So we know this, we know that. And how do I know that this is related? That, this is not going against the paragraph? Because of 2. Because I had read 2. So 2 says a lot of technological criticism today is about weighing whether a technology is good or bad. Good or bad. So we talk about the bad, we talk about the good. And the author says this is unwarranted, this is unnecessary, categorizing a technology as good or bad. So 2, 4, and 5 belong. They are a part of a sequence, perhaps, for all I know. It's between 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are the two close choices here. Right. So let's see. How many of you said 3? How many said 1? Okay, Pallavi said 1. Right. Pragya said 1. Okay. Uh, then Dhyanesh, Midulaj, Education World, Priyanshi, they said 1. Excellent. 1 is the answer. Okay, so 1 is the odd sentence out here because the author is saying that we should not think about it in terms of good and bad. That okay, this is good, this is bad. Why? Why should we not do that? Because technology is also improving for the people who use them. So while technology may have some negatives or may be bad for some people in some circumstances, it is also trying to improve. Technology is changing for the better. Yes. So that is why this whole good bad debate is not really a good debate. One, people feel these technologies are essential to their lives and for their daily functioning. That actually throws again, that actually looks at it in terms of a good bad debate only. So, in a way, that means we are saying they are good for them. But the author is discouraging us to think in that way. The author is saying everything has good and bad both, and technology is an evolving thing. So, don't think in terms of this good and bad. Okay. So, 1 is the odd sentence out here. This was a really good question because students sometimes are not able to relate 3 to the paragraph. That how does 3 relate? Okay. All right. Any query you can ask in questions so far? We're just left with our last question for the day. Okay, so how did I fare here? I operated by making mandatory pairs, by relating. I thought that this is the opening sentence. That's the thought that came to my mind. And then just I was left with just 2 options. Okay. All right then. The last question for the day. I want enthusiastic response. Let's see what you say here. Just a second. I am going invisible. Yeah. Okay. I've got one. Okay, quite a few ones. All right. Others, what do you say? Simple. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if it is simple. Right. Okay. Pragya says three. Pradeep says one. I feel like this omnipotent narrator, particularly because I'm not visible and I know the answer. So one, four, three. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Okay. I'm coming back to my humble self from being omnipotent. Yes. So see this. Most people, it seems, are happy with that idea. In case you say that one is the odd one out, which idea are people happy with? Yes. Which idea are people happy with? Because this one says after all. After all, whenever I add after all in a statement, it usually follows something. Okay. It's okay that he took this decision. After all, he's the boss. It's okay that he took this decision. After all, he's the boss. So, see, it comes after. It basically has some context, prior context. So इससे तो नहीं relate कर सकते हैं, ये नहीं बोल सकते हैं that three will come first and then five will come. So most people are happy with the idea mentioned in one. One is not the odd sentence out here. Okay. So let me just, if I had to relate, see, if cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death for most people in the West, replacing the heart with a younger, healthier one could potentially add decades to lifespans. Most people, it seems, are happy with that idea. Happy, 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 and excitement related. But while it is easy to get caught up in the excitement of printing organs on demand, there are also some other bigger implications that require thought, right? So now you see what I'm doing here. I'm making mandatory pairs and I'm sort of making a mental sequence also. Why am I doing that? I advocated against it, right? I am doing this because here you are right in thinking this. All the sentences seem highly connected. ऐसा लग रहा है सभी connected है. When that happens, that is when you'll need to form quite a few mandatory pairs, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, so this is the part, this is the thought that I want to leave you with. Do this in those cases when everything seems extremely connected, otherwise don't do it. Okay, so 1, 5, 4. Okay, but why is it easy to get caught up in the excitement? There are other bigger implications that require thought. Okay, what are what are those bigger implications? Before mentioning those bigger implications, see, I'm saying when I'm saying that okay, they require thought, then I'll add this. The prospect of being able to print human organs is, after all, likely to have a profound impact on society. That is why the bigger implications require thought. So I'm elaborating on my earlier statement that there are bigger implications that require thought. क्यों thought देना उनको? Because it is likely to have a profound impact on society, not least in the boost to average longevity that it entails. And now some of you might feel, acha, so then two can come after this. So I told you earlier also, if you feel that this is the fifth sentence, that means it's a dispensable sentence. You can do away with it. Okay. So this argument will come later on. One side discuss how it will boost longevity, etc., etc. I hope this makes sense. Yes, everybody's on board with the answer. Two is the odd sentence out. So we've seen a mixed bag of questions today, which is what is going to be the case in CAT also. You need to understand how to navigate each question type. When it is extremely difficult for you, then yes, you can just type in one number randomly. Okay, when it is not difficult for you, do give these questions a sincere shot because they're comparatively easy. They're not time consuming, they're time saving, right? Also, please remember that for most of your questions, you will never need to make a sequence. Just making mandatory pairs will suffice. So don't be a perfectionist, right? You lose marks and time. Okay, then. So this was it from my end. These are our upcoming sessions. So I hope the last lab to cat is helping you and you're learning a lot from it. Yes. And do attend the sessions, see some tips and tricks, right? So Srinivas sir, Gaurav sir, Gautam sir, Saral sir, they'll all come in the coming few days at 7 p.m. live. Also, we'll have a detailed analysis for CAT. This is something that you already know. November 27. Don't forget to join us. Our All India Open Mock is currently going on, so do take it. Okay, gauge your performance against a lot of aspirants across India. And this is our CAT 23 comprehensive program. A lot of things on offer, okay? So, live sessions, recorded sessions, practice material, expert guidance, stage 2 guidance, everything, okay? So, enroll. And yes, um, this is our social media handle, Facebook, Insta, and yes, the Telegram channel. You can join this and discuss each other's queries with each other, okay? That's what you can do. Thank you for attending. I'll see you in the coming sessions, okay? And I'll also see you at 12 p.m., okay? Welcome, welcome all of you. Bye-bye. See you. Welcome, Pragya. Welcome. Bye.